What's up, YouTube? Today we've got another Pro Audio amp on the kitchen table. This is the little brother to the bigger 1400s. There's actually a model 1700. It's the biggest in the Series 1 lineup. But this is a rather sad looking model 1200 I picked up for a pretty good price off eBay. This one actually claims to be rebuilt. It says it's in good working order, but they said it's been rebuilt, which I'm a little skeptical of because usually you hear someone say like a recap, maybe. Not sure what they mean exactly by rebuilt. It does appear that this amp has been painted at some point. I don't think this is the factory paint job, and it's got quite a few dings, and this is what kind of disappointed me. These rack ears, as you can see here, are extremely bent. Both of them are pretty bent, so the pictures weren't that great in the listing, so it's hard to tell if this damage was sustained during shipping or not. Let's see, try and get the light to come on my camera. Well, anyways, here's the back side of it. Pretty basic, similar to the 1400 series. I do wish that they had managed to make this a 2-rack unit amplifier, because the Model 1100 is a 1-rack unit amp, and the 1700 is a 4-rack unit amp, and the 1400 is a 3-rack unit. So it seems like logically they would have made this a 2-rack unit amplifier, but that's okay. But next order of business, I'm going to check it for DC at the speaker terminals and hook it up to some speakers, and after that, if it does sound good, I'm going to try and straighten those rack ears and maybe touch it up a little bit, get it looking better. So stay tuned. Alright, back again. Hooked up some speakers after checking for DC and finding none. And fortunately, this thing sounds great. It seems to have a good bit more power than my Onkyo receiver, which is also rated at 100 watts per channel into 8 ohms. And I haven't even pushed it into clipping yet. So pretty pleased with that aspect. I was worried with it taking such hard hits on the corner, because these amps are built very heavy, so for it to get bent like that, it was hit pretty hard. But it seems to be functioning great. And one other feature of note of this amplifier that I forgot to mention before, it's actually air cooled versus the 1400 and 1700 amplifiers, which are fan cooled. So it's also got a noticeable amount less transformer hum to the amplifier, probably due to it having a smaller transformer, but we'll find out here before too long. On music, it sounds great. Alright, here's the 1200 QSC on the workbench, and I had pretty good luck straightening out the first rack here. I'll show you, it's not perfectly true, but it'll do. The rack mounting holes are more towards the center there, so I think it'll be alright. I may do a little more work on it. What I actually did to straighten the rack ears out was I put it on the edge of this table and used my channel locks and just kind of clamped down on it with as much force as I could to true it up to the table surface. And it would be better to do this with a vise and some blocks of wood or something, but this is what I had, so I'm going to shut the camera off and flip it around and show you guys the other side before and after. Here's the other side of the amplifier before straightening. This one was putting up a good bit of a fight, so I got out the C-clamp and clamped down on the sides, and it seemed to help a good bit. So if you're trying it this way, I would use caution. This is definitely, I would say, not the correct way to do this procedure, but I think it's going to be straight enough that it'll sit in a rack without any problems after this. Alright, here's that side completed. It's definitely not perfect, but it's much better than it was before without resorting to any extreme measures. Like I said, I may have another go at it if it turns out to not sit in the rack pretty nicely, but I think that'll pass muster for now. I did a little bit of touch-up work to the front, nothing elaborate. Just kind of went over the scratches with a black Sharpie in it. Looks quite a bit more presentable. It really shows up on camera pretty well, but in person it looks a good bit better, and I had to straighten that top vent slat out there a little bit with a screwdriver. It was kind of bent. This thing has definitely seen some action in its time, but now the part I'm kind of anxious. I want to peek inside and see if I'm able to ascertain what, if any, rebuilding has gone on with this amplifier. Here's the internals of the QSC Model 1200, and it's the same board as the Model 1400. It even says QSC 1400 over there in the corner, with a couple key differences. The transformer, although it's still pretty beefy, is smaller. Here's the 1400 next to it. You see the transformer is a good bit bigger. It has half as many main filter capacitors as the 1400 does, and also has half as many output devices. And the 1400 has some more resistors there, and there's some other slight differences in the layout of the two boards, but only because this one is probably an older revision. Most of the dates in this amplifier are from mid to late 1985. So this is the oldest of the three QSC Series 1 amplifiers I have. And the other big key difference, obviously, is the 1400 has a fan on it. And in the case of this amplifier, it's a good bit less crusty than the 1200. The 1200 has Toshiba output devices, while I think both of these 1400s have Motorola output devices, although they're the same part. And overall, I'm pretty happy with this amp because it does sound really nice, and I was worried about the lower output being, as this is pretty much half of a 1400, but pleased with the results so far. I really can't find any evidence inside this amplifier of it, whether it's ever been rebuilt or not, but I'm not totally displeased because, like I said, it's functioning great. So I'm going to do one more test just to show that even after all these years, this amplifier from 1985, which is over 31 years old, is still very, very clean. Quick test to show that this amplifier is still delivering the goods 31 years later. Got a 40 Hz 0 dB test tone going in. Or 34 volts AC off one channel, clean, no clipping or distortion. So we still have more room above that. Pretty strong amplifier. That's about all I have to say about this QSC Model 1200 Pro Audio amplifier. Pretty happy with it. I would definitely recommend this line of amplifiers to anyone who's interested in pro audio. And thanks for watching my video as always. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, and I thought we would conclude with a quick music test.